If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth. I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. We cry for together. And the way on them like they never make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth. I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. We cry for together. And the way on them like they never make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to make the rise. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth. I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, make the rise. better life. Yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. We cry from together. And the way on it, like a never victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth. I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. We cry from together. And the way on it, like a never victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth. I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. No, we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. No, we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. We cry from together. And the way on it, like a never victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try to victimize. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy?
You put it on Douglas politics
A
yet?
democratic society.
Yeah.
And therefore, every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them
Welcome to Facts Not Fiction on Douglas Politics. Well, let me welcome you all first of all. Welcome our viewers locally, regionally, internationally. Welcome. You know, yesterday, I want to call it Fantastic Tuesday. Yes, Fantastic Tuesday. Yesterday, of course, being the 10th, we have fulfilled our promise after we had to put off on a couple of occasions. And I know you know why we had to put off. And of course, I am quite certain that you are so impressed with why we had to put it off after you heard the honorable political leader of the United National Congress, the one and only Kamla Prasad Bisesa, spoke at the launch of the Labre constituency office yesterday afternoon. Yes, the cutting of the ribbon, of course. I want to also thank each and every one of you who attended. I want to thank the honorable political leader. I want to also thank the deputy political leader, Senator Jolene John, Senator Robertson, Dr. Lakram Budu, and all of you who made it possible for that event yesterday. I know some of you would not, I know some of you weren't able to make it for various reasons. Some of you wanted to come, but because of the flooding situation, I know, of course, that it was quite impossible for some of you to attend. I really want to thank you all, those who have attended, those who intention was to attend and could not. And I want to especially thank the people of the constituency of Labre for coming out in their numbers, despite the condition and areas where you were not able to pass because of the flood waters. I know persons who call and had to turn around and seek other alternative to be at Palo Seco Junction for that historical moment yesterday afternoon. So we want to thank you, the people of Labre constituency, those of you who came out in your numbers. I was very thrilled and very much pleased with the turnout. And of course, we hadn't any occasion to bring any bus or maxi taxi. And it shows that the people of Labre, that they are quite fed up with the treatment of the party that they have supported over the years. I want to especially thank all the speakers, and I want to zero in on a good friend, a community worker, a community man from Palo Seco, and that is none other than David Young, who really poured his heart out yesterday and helped the people who tune into the live, and even those who were present, who have been experiencing what has been happening within the Southwestern Peninsula. I want to tell my good friend, my brother, my worker, my co-worker, my champion, David Young, well done, well done. I want to also thank the executive, the newly appointed executive, and I use the word appointed because we are, all of us have been selected simply because the people of the constituency of Labre believe that we are best suitable for the job, and therefore none other had filed any nominations for the positions that we have filed. So I want to thank the executive, every member of the executive, for making this possible yesterday. I want to also thank the police for doing a very good job. I want to thank also those who have assisted us in preparing the food and who cooked the curry and the stew, and those who have provided the roti, and those who have shared the food. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank those who remain back and clean up the place. And I also want to thank none other than the original Atlantic studio man, none other than my friend Archie, for his commitment, his dedication, and the work that he have done yesterday in Palo Seco. I want to thank him, and I want to tell Archie to continue to do what he know to do best. And if I have overshadowed anyone else, I want to thank each and everyone who have participated, assisted in everywhere. I want to personally separate the political leader from the rest, because from where I sit, the political leader not only show why she is the political leader, but the leader have demonstrated her love for the people of Palo Seco, even though throughout the years they have never given the UNC a chance. But the leader have shown, and the leader have committed, that upon being re-elected as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, that the constituency of Labre would be on the agenda. The constituency of Labre would be one of the constituencies that is on the front burner, and deliverance will come to the constituency of Labre, where the constituents would be able to benefit, where their standard of living would improve. And I could even tell you that there is so much that will be done in Labre, because I know that you can remember that throughout 2010 and 2015, the leader of the government, who was the Prime Minister, who is now the leader of the opposition, that leader have started what we had called squatters regularization. And they have provided deeds of comfort for so many people in this country. And when while it was on its way to the constituency of Labre, it was unfortunately that an election was called based on lies by a prime minister who was then the opposition leader, when he purported to collect what what he said was emails where the Prime Minister, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Gary Griffith and others, where they were conspiring to kill a journalist. You all could remember? And so the country started crying out. The country started bawling. The country started getting up and prancing. And many marches were taking place throughout the length and breadth of this country. Because you would believe if a prime minister, a minister of national security and others is conspiring to murder a journalist, then we had to believe that if that was true, then the democracy, then the government needed to be removed. But you know what is sad about that? Let me tell you what is sad about that. It took years for us to know that those documents were false. That is one. Two, because of the political interference, back then within the police service, just as we are now experiencing political interference in this police service, we have seen where the acting commissioner at the time quickly seized laptops and phones, and interviews were being conducted. From top to bottom. From the prime minister level, come down. iPad, laptops, phones. Police moving in, gathering whatever they could gather. Frontline on the PNM media, day and night. The editors cannot wait for the clock to strike 12 for a new headline. Weeks and months. They beat it like a bubbly. They beat it like Judas. It took us months and years with all the capabilities, with all the apparatus within the security agencies. It took us years for this country to know that those documents were false. You're going to know where I'm going, don't worry. It took us years. But because of political interference within the independent police service, and I place that in inverted commas, that word independent police service, we have seen, ladies and gentlemen, the quick response by these allegations by a opposition leader. A opposition leader were able, by his utterances in the parliament, get a rapid response response from every sector, from the private sector, the public sector, the independent bench, the opposition bench, the police service, the chambers of commerce, and even the independent, so-called independent churches. And I ain't speaking about churches chicken, you know. I ain't speaking about churches chicken. I'm speaking about the religious organization, the IRO. Quick response. Everybody on board who ought to be independent, who ought to be sane. The government is innocent until proven guilty. It was the other way around. It was the government guilty and had to take years in order to be innocent. They condemn Kamala. They condemn Gary Griffith. They condemn the government. Every independent institution in this country. Every independent institution. By the word of one opposition leader. By the word of Keith Rowley. It was immediate action. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen.
Victor, that wasn't immediate action, you know. That was all part of the plan. You see, when that thing was in Parliament and I heard it, that raised my attention. And I say, well, oh Lord, look at trouble now. But about 10 minutes later, when I started watching those emails, and as a little computer person, I started to realize what them things fake and make up, because of the format in which emails are sent and received. I realized those were very disjointed, made no sense, and any little 3-year-old child will know those things were fake. But the seriousness at which big donkey, hardback, well-known policemen persecuted, and persecuted is the right word. The way they went about doing that, that was a total conspiracy of the Cosa Nostra operating even while Kamala was Prime Minister.
And actually, I ain't even going in that direction. I'm not even going in that direction. And I want to show you why I'm not going in that direction. So it was immediate action against a prime minister by the utterances of an opposition leader. Today, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition leader, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, have provided so many evidence on these allegations that is now sitting against this government. And you know what? There is absolutely no action taken by the same police, by the same chambers of commerce, by the same private sector, by the same public sector, and by the same churches. allegations with evidence is before this country. We have Rowley Gate, better known as Inez Gate. We have Foster Common Gate and Fence. We have Faris Alwari Gate, Fence, and all that goes with that. We have Stuart Young Gate, Rohan Sinanan Gate. We have the Attorney General Gate. We have Fitzgerald Hines Gate. Well, don't talk about D.L. Singh Gate. Because he's not important, actually. He's a nuisance. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all those allegations with a level of evidence. But we have seen that the opposition leader under the PNM, who were able to cook up a pilau and had immediate action against a sitting prime minister, today we have supplied so much evidence, and we have not even seen a piece of paper seized by the police. We have not even seen or heard of an investigation into all the Tobago units, what moved from 66 million and what goes to 100 million and what goes to ladies and gentlemen, I am wondering if you folks understanding what I am saying today. An opposition leader back in 2014-2015 had some documents that Archie said a 3-year-old child will know is not emails. And immediate action were taken by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The churches were crying out. The independent PNM senators were crying out. The independent PNM chambers of commerce were crying out. The Law Association were crying out. Judiciary were crying out. And you, the people, was on the streets crying out. All I remember this song I was singing? Go Kamla, go you witch. All you remember the song? Go Kamla, go you witch. You know what happening today? All you paying the price for the same spell that all you cast. Only paying the price for the same spell that all cast. You know them little magic show long time? And when the genie casts a spell, what used to happen? You blight until the genie remove the spell. Well, let me tell you something, Trinidad and Tobago. All you is the genie that casts the spell. And nobody cannot remove the spell except who cast it. So if all you is who cast the spell, that have all you getting eyes, where all you seeing trouble as clear as day, then it is all you. It is only all you to remove the spell that all you cast. I want to help all you remove the spell. In order to remove the spell, when we talk about he living close to Lekito, when me had to live no way to know what to do to remove the spell. In order to remove the spell, you have to reverse the decision that you make. In order to remove the spell that you are under by your own doings, Trinidad and Tobago, you have to reverse the same thing that you did. So when you were walking and singing, "Go Kamla, go, you witch," you have to now reverse that and take to the streets again and say, "Go Rowley, go, you Laja bless." That is what you have to do. You have a police service today where the executive takes instructions from politicians. You have, ladies and gentlemen, a president of your republic who also took instructions from the politicians. You have a Speaker of the House who ought to be presiding in a manner that is beneficial to the country. You have a Senate President who ought to be doing the same in the interest of country. But today you have a Speaker and a Senate President who not only takes instruction from the politician, but close every independent balance within the democracy of your country. You have a law association who is working with the politician in order to secure briefs and breaking their own code of ethics by voting in favor of an attorney general who lie under oath, not only on your soil, but also on a foreign soil. You have a judiciary who also takes instructions from the politician. So that leaves me, ladies and gentlemen, as I deal with all the independent bodies in this country, that leads me to wonder what is going on in the DPP office. Every institution that should ensure that the democratic process be adhered to by the politicians, they have now contaminated themselves and they are working in sync with the politician. And to make it clear to you, when I said politicians, I am speaking about the politicians that sits on the government benches that can be referred to as the PNM. Every independent institution who ought to be separated in their thoughts, their thinking, and their affairs, according to the Constitution. The separations of powers no longer exist in our country. And when the separation of powers do not exist, ladies and gentlemen, what we have is a full dictatorship that is now taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. Your Prime Minister who stood up and tell you, the country, that it was me, Keith Rowley, who was that high official. It was I who went to the president. It was I who summoned Bliss Prasad. It was I who shared certain information. It was I who allowed the merit list to be thwarted.
What could cause a man to be so brave to come in the public and say he break the law?
I comment to that. It was I, Keith Rowley. That is to show you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a sitting prime minister who is not conspiring to kill a journalist as he had alleged, but he have killed and murdered Christopher Rowley, have killed and murdered by his action none other, nothing else but the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. That is what Keith Rowley had murdered. When your constitution is dead, because of a prime minister who chooses to operate outside of the constitution, and you have a president who will allow that process to continue, and you have a law association who will not speak out, you have a judiciary who will not condemn, you must ask yourself, Trinidad and Tobago, why? They were excited when they heard Keith Rowley said that the Prime Minister, the National Security Minister, and others were conspiring to kill a journalist. They all were quite vocal. You could have heard the sound of their voices without a PA system. But today you have a prime minister who is killing and murdering our constitution and all those independent institutions. They are dumb and their silence is deafening. When a prime minister could stand up bold-faced and tell the country, I is the man, and you have a police commissioner acting dumb, who will not come to the public and tell the public that I, as the acting dumb, going to launch an investigation into the confession of the Prime Minister. You know why that would not be forthcoming, Trinidad and Tobago? It will not be forthcoming because I, dumb, wants to be confirmed as the commissioner. We have seen law and order breach from the parliament, from the standing orders, by speaker, by senate president, by prime minister, and yet those who will preside over constitutional matters, they will tell you that we are independent, so therefore we cannot get involved. What bucket of hogwash! The judiciary, the Chief Justice, who would sit on a by judges to sit and determine over constitutional matters, interpret laws, make decisions out of those interpretations that would affect your life and your livelihood. They are locked-down. The Law Association, who had made and pronounced on Anand Ram Logan and Gerard Ramdeen, today they have no pronouncement on the behavior of Keith Rowley. Today they have nothing to say about an attorney general. They give us a kind of kakapul statement on Alwari. But with all the serious breaches, we cannot turn to any institution in this country to get justice for our constitution. The opposition could write, the opposition could put in court. Don't you know that the opposition had filed a matter in court against the extension of the 2015 election? And while the court ruled that the EBC was wrong, the judges tell you that they saw it fit not to put the country through a whole election process again. And you take that. How could something be wrong and the court rule it is wrong, but yet allow the wrong to continue? Filing matters in court is good. How many matters are before the courts now for years and no pronouncement? We can file and file and file until all the teeth on the file come off and the cutlass remain dull, and yet you will not get an answer on those serious constitutional breaches of the PNM in this jurisdiction. I am telling you that, and you could smoke it as good tobacco. We cannot even get investigations going on into the breaches by the government and government officials in their professional and private aspect. But what you do, Trinidad and Tobago, you break the law today, and you are arrested tomorrow. You are before the court in 2 to 3 days' time. But today, we have had investigations from 2016 sitting somewhere between the police desk and the DPP desk, and today, we have not heard any pronouncement. We have heard about $4.4 million sitting in a venture credit union account. Today, we have not heard any pronouncement, and I am telling you today, you can wait until 2025, or you could wait until 2050, and there will be no pronouncement forthcoming once the PNM sits in government. We have allegation with Rowley in apartment units in Tobago. Today, months, you have not yet gotten any pronouncement of an investigation, much less an arrest. But you go down to the shop today and pick up a bread because you're hungry and walk out and see if you are not before the magistrate by tomorrow. If it means they have to call out a special magistrate, you before the courts. Ladies and gentlemen, can you not see what is happening to your democracy? A dictatorship is birthed when the people of the country, the citizens, when they are asleep, in small doses, every dictator was born out of democracy. And while the country sleep, while the country enjoy carnival and fete and rum and wine and woman and man and everybody having a time, they keep squeezing the syringe and injecting it drop by drop, and before you can recognize it, you are already in a dictatorship. You think the pronouncement of the mother of all carnival, you think that pronouncement was made just so? Because they know what you like. They know what to captivate you with. They know you like to whine and prance and jump and dance. They know when you cannot buy food. You're going and squeeze and hide that dollar to go and whine and jam. Port of Spain, Bondong, you're jamming still. So they distract you. They utilize the mother of all carnival coming while Rowley and his government do whatever they want in this country, and you remain docile. How could you, citizens, who know that there is no independency in this country anymore, will sit down and stand up and hear a prime minister tell you, I is who break the law, and you would not hold him accountable for it, while when your children break the law, they end up in prison? What's wrong with all you? What's wrong with all you? All you can't be that stupid. All you can't be that dotish. As your son or your daughter use a obscene language, a minor offense, day before the court, you have a prime minister who breached the constitution with a president and others. How come Blissy Prasad not before the court? How come Rowley not before the court after confessing? But you people, you accepted that. But let your son watch a police, or not even watch a police, just cuss hard enough for a police to hear. But you allow the prime minister to break the law, to breach the constitution, and yet you as the citizens in this country, you have said absolutely nothing. You have seen the vigor that the police persecuted the then prime minister and Gary Griffith and others. You have seen how a siren search here, headlines, Kamala home search, Gary Griffith home, this seized, that the other, by false allegation. You have a prime minister who confessed that he break the law, and we are nothing seized. Somebody explain to me why. Somebody tell me why. I check up probably numbers on the screen for them now. Somebody tell me why that all this is happening, but yet to the end of the day, we have not seen a movement from the police service executive. Added to that, we have not yet seen one member of the cabinet, not one PNM MP, stand up and pronounce on that breach of our constitution. Not one of those individuals have the fortitude to stand up and to condemn that action by a prime minister who will breach the constitution. You know why? Because everybody benefiting from the resources except you. Everybody, every one of them who sits there benefiting except you. Keith Scotland tell you, go back to the coal pot and ride a bike. But he put in fuel in a high-end vehicle.
Hello.
Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Roberts.
Good day, good day.
Chief, Mr. Roberts, I just given a little reminder here. I remember when Mr. Processor bought the representatives from Google, a reputable company from away, to check those email gates. And when they came and they checked it, they said it was fake. And they point out everything is fake. It is fake. But the police do according to you, not that thing. And I want to mention, I see they spent 40-something million for the White House and it's leaking again, Mr. Roberts. You will have a blessed night.
Huh. Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. All they hear the caller? They knew from day one that those documents were never emailed, but they prolonged the process in order to get rid of Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who were doing so much to make your standard of living better. Somebody prove me wrong.
But and they push that further when the experts have deemed the mails to be fake. They turn it around now and say it's not the email, but the substance contained during the email is what they're investigating.
You see the political game from the TTPS?
So when you say you are investigating the substance, you know for all purposes, that case still active as far as the police is concerned because they're investigating the substance. They never said the substance has no veracity, you know. I think it is eventually the commissioner, the last commissioner, Gary Griffith, said that that case dead and gone.
Archie, let me tell you something in this country. Why are we allowing two laws to exist in our society? Why are we allowing a law for the rich and another for the poor? Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Roberts.
Give me some volume, Archie.
Chief, and to everybody out there. Are you all hearing me good? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Right. Okay, good evening.
Archie, your mic
again.
off?
Now, yes, ask, why is that nobody doing anything about it? Because they are all PNM party groups. They are all PNM party groups. Look at today, the file for Karen Nunes to Shara, and that insider trading is still on the DPP desk. How many years later? The landed issue is still on the DPP desk. Nothing is being done about it. So what do you expect? That they're going to charge Faris and all these people for misbehavior in public office? They're going to charge Camille for money in that handbag and nobody know anything about it? Are they going to charge Foster Cummins? No, they're not going to do anything. And you know what is hurtful? You ask about the other cabinet ministers. What about Penelope Beckles? She wants to play, she's this big rock. You know, she's an upstanding citizen, but they all sat down there. She sat there and gave permission for Faris and them to recuse themselves over 300 times.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Nunes, the sheriff, contested the internal to be leader of the PNM, and she never said a word about what took place in the merit list. But talking about those, we don't want no much stringing, but they're stringing a lot of her. Now, I heard on a radio program a lot of rat-a-tat about the Caribbean Court of Justice, right? And we should support it. That is hogwash. Could you imagine that we support that and a man like Ivor Archie, who said that he didn't want to send the country back to no election, but he knew the result was wrong. Benter, who up to today still believe that the emails are real. Could you imagine he sitting on the CCJ and don't ask for colony weeks with that miracle. Up to now, she's not saying a word. Can you see these people sitting on the CCJ and an ordinary citizen going to get justice? No, Mr. Roberts. I will take the chance with the white men and them in the room according to Rowley, who we are making decisions first. I will take the chance for them. Thanks a lot and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Santa Cruz. Why would we allow two laws to exist in this country? One for the rich and one for the poor. You cannot survive. You cannot provide. But yet, why are you afraid in this country to stand up for what is right? I am not asking anybody to stand up for what is wrong. I am asking this country to stand up for what is right. Justice have to start somewhere. We are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, that the Prime Minister have no respect for law and order. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Raval. Hello? Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello, good night. Good night, Robert. Hello?
Yeah, caller. Yes, caller, go ahead. But just talk a little softer.
Yeah, you hear me, Mr. Raval? If the UNC win the next election, right? Will we see the politician who is in cheap and big law? Will they be in jail?
All right, caller. Give us about 5 minutes, Archie.
Hello?
Give us about 5 minutes and call us back. Sorry about that. But why are we allowing the head of state in every aspect to breach what we have to pay the penalty for? We cannot breach the law and survive. We cannot breach the law and testing. Callers, if you're hearing me, just text those of you on Facebook and tell me you're hearing me. Yeah, my mic on. Yeah. All right, so they're saying they're not hearing. All right, if you're hearing me now, you could just indicate. Right, so you're all hearing me here now. So the point I'm making is, why are we allowing two laws to exist in this country? One for the rich and one for the poor. Why are we allowing that? Why would we allow such behavior to take place where we have the heads of state, those who make laws in the parliament that we have to obey? Why are we allowing them to break the same law that they make and punish us for the same law that they will not hold up to? Have we tried the call and see? Why are we allowing that? Welcome, caller. Go ahead, caller. Actually, it seems like the connection from the phone to the keep to the damn thing. Yeah. All right. So we still having a little difficulty with the calls, so we're trying to sort it out. But my question is this. We allow those who make laws for us to obey. Laws that our children have to obey. Whether it is enacted by the same one who break the law, we have to obey once it is enacted. So we have the parliamentarians who will make and bring these pieces of legislation, which is a big word to tell you, laws that you have to obey.
Yeah, caller.
They will bring it to the parliament. And then from the parliament...
Hello, yes. Call on the line.
Welcome, caller.
Welcome, Victor. Good night to you.
Good night, sir.
Hear me clearly?
Yeah, hearing you there now. Go ahead.
Right, here we're going on. A district court in California deemed the emails fake. Amnan Ramugan got that judgment from that district court in California because Google, the Google server resides in the US, not in Trinidad, right? That is part one. Part two, the district court said, we can't clear you because the alleged crime, inverted commas, it was alleged to have been committed in Trinidad and Tobago. So you could take our transcripts, take our findings, and take it to the police in Trinidad and Tobago and let them clear you. The police sit on it. Right? There was an assistant DPP at the time who said, they're not cleared yet. Or we still have to do our investigation. Right? That is part two. Gary Griffith came in as commissioner and Gary Griffith squashed that. Me investigated nothing. That ain't making sense. PNM supporters still believe that the email exists. Go figure. Try and figure that one out. I don't understand that. PNM supporters still believe that we were not compensated for the breach of contract for the late delivery of the OPVs, offshore patrol vessels, when the checks that we got was published in the Guardian. Right? PNM supporters do believe that that exists. And to this day, we're only still saying we were not refunded monies on the OPVs. I don't know what planet we live on. I have no idea what water they're drinking, what Moby they're drinking, what pie they eating. It ain't making sense. It has reached the stage of narcissism and misogyny. Good night, Victor. Let me safe. You and Archie.
Good night, caller. Right, Archie, we still have to work on it a little bit. I ain't still in getting too clear.
Everything connected the way it is.
All right, but I still ain't here too clear. So I can't comment on what the caller really saying. But the point I'm making is, why are we allowing the parliamentarians to come to the parliament, bring a piece of legislation, after it is passed there, and it's gone to the president, for the president to enact it, and after it is enacted by the president, then we have to obey it, and we have to be punished by it. We have to stand the consequences by it. How and why we as the citizens must allow that to happen when the same people who bring the law or the piece of legislation that becomes law, why we are allowing those same individuals not to keep the same thing that we have to keep, that them make, that we are punished by, and them is living freely when they break it. That is my question, you know. And this is not the responsibility wholly and solely on the opposition. This is your responsibility as a citizen. This is your responsibility to demand that the government adhere Well, I know some people that let me talk down here. It is your responsibility to make sure the government listen to the same thing and obey the same thing that they make that we have to live and obey. You know why your sons and daughters are in prison? They are there in most cases because they break the law. But who make the law? Who enacted the law? Who allow the legislation to become law? It is the same people who are in breach of the law today. The Prime Minister, the President, and others. So your children have to sit behind bars. Your children have to call for a visit. You don't even have money to buy food for your rest of your children, much less to go and visit them. But those who making the laws, breaking the laws, but they have no question and no persecution to face. You know why? Because the independent institution has now gone to bed with the government. They are making love in the same bed. So when they're having a time in bed, your children in pressure in prison, while them eating shrimps and drinking scotch, your children eating a bread. And if the prison van carry them up late, it's nothing for them till in the morning. While you want to face the gas station with high prices and no job, them facing the gas station with your taxpayer dollar, driving the best, eating the best, dressing the best, 30,000 handbag. How much Mercedes Benz? And let me tell you something. Next year, please God, they're entitled to buy a next car again. They're entitled to buy a prime vehicle, imported tax-free, with $1.2 million off. Out of your taxpayer money next year. All of them could buy a Porsche Cayenne or a Mercedes, any vehicle of their choice next year, while they implement property tax on you. When the opposition say no to increase in salary, they pass it by the simple majority. That is the reality of what you face. They make millions. They cut deals. Yesterday, why Mrs. Prasad Bisesa cutting a ribbon? You much deals cutting with your money? But yet still you sit back as though you are docile. A woman called me today to come and see she house. To come and see where she living. She sent me a text on my phone. I could read it for you. 2 of my children still ain't get books yet. Today I get the text. If I had gotten it earlier in the year, I have a good friend who donated something to watch some books. She would have been that. So I don't go and beg people to see if I get some help for this woman. To help she buy some books for 2 children.
Try that call.
Welcome, caller. Welcome, caller.
Mr. Robert.
Good day.
Mr. Robert.
Hello, go ahead.
It has flood on the ground. But the flood reached the top of the Red House now. So I don't want to see that
Actually, you hearing anything there? All right. This lady texted me today. 2 children had to get some books to go to school. You hear what I telling her? I tell her coming down Palo Seco this week, lower down Palo Seco, and I will do some videos and I will beg people to try and help she, whether it's some ply or some wood or whatever. But I more want to deal with the books aspect first. But yet them increasing the money in the parliament. Simple majority. Welcome, caller. Simple majority. So people can get books. People can buy food. But next year, please God, they are entitled to buy another Porsche Cayenne. They are entitled to buy a sport model Benz, a Corvette, a Mustang, any vehicle they want out of your taxpayer dollar. But yet they're going to bring property tax on you. And him but so wicked. He didn't start with the commercial buildings first, you know. He started with the private dwelling houses. You, the poor people, you going to feel the brunt first. You hear what I'm telling you? He start with the business sector, you know. He start with you with a little plyboard and a 2x4 and your latrine outside. You're going to be paid for your latrine too. But yet still, you people acting like you're docile. They are going to be benefiting. They flaunt the law, they break the law, they enjoy your tax, they tax you, they apply pressure on you, they take away your job, they take away your book grant, they take away your laptop, they take away your MIC, they take away your NESC, they take away your gate, they ain't opening your university, you can't finish the schools and them that come last start, but yet you still quiet. Somebody had to tell me what's going on, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the head of state and a prime minister of a country. This is an attorney general, former and present. They enter into agreements, bribing witnesses, seducing them with large sums of money, turning wrong, and paying the prosecution bill for that witness. You understand what I just tell you? They pay a man to talk, to say what them want to hear. Turn around and cut a deal with the same man and say we go charge you, but you will get a presidential pardon. And we won't report it, you will be able to practice. And on top of that, we paying your lawyers $6 million at Trinidad and Tobago money. All that controversy jump up, and today you ain't hearing about an investigation. Today you ain't hearing nothing. But as you tamper with a witness, I have a partner. When he came out of prison, I started talking with him. And since that, he changed up his life in a particular way. He ain't finished the process yet, you know. He finished the process, but he changed his life in a certain way. And I'm still working on him. But he and a man fall out, and that's some fight about 2 years ago. And when he done beat up the man and all kind of bacchanal, the man run. The man's sneakers come off his foot. He take up the man's sneakers and pelt it down in some bamboo patch. The man gonna make a report and say this man beat him up and take his sneakers. He get charged for robbery with violence. A couple months after, they find the sneakers still in the bamboo patch. But you know what? He going to court. He going to court.
Hello?
Welcome, caller.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Victor Roberts.
Hello.
Yes, Canada calling.
Go ahead, caller.
I'd like to speak to Victor Roberts, please.
Mr. Knight Paul, go ahead. I hear you.
Oh, okay. Tell Victor for me that there are reasons why everything is happening in Trinidad. Number one, why he's putting the tax on the properties. Are you listening?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Why they putting the property tax on? This is a policy since Dr. Eric Williams. He wanted to take the lands from those who have lands and give it to those who don't have land. So what is happening here, he's putting property tax, so the poor people who can't pay, you're going to take the land away. You see? So this is the same thing. He'll take the land from those who have land and give it to those who don't have land. You understand? So when you can't pay tax, they're going to seize your property and sell it to his friends, put his money in his pocket. This is what's happening right now.
Actually, take me off the screen a minute. Take me off the screen a minute. Go ahead, Mr. Knight Paul.
Yes.
Take me off the screen.
Are you listening or something is going on in the back?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Anyways, another thing is, that is the reason why he put Jacob there. He got rid of Gary Griffith because then he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing today. You know, they want to keep their hand, all of them want to keep their hand into the taxpayer's pocket, and also keep their hand in the treasury pocket. You understand? That's why they don't want to give up. They don't want to lose elections. In fact, probably you don't even want to call elections. Yeah. See? Make yourself president for life or something. And what you're going to see, that might fight on. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. How is everything over there? Good? Are you guys all right? Have a good night.
Right, and you are quite right. They would not call an election simply because they understand that the people of the country would not continue along the path that the government is now taking them. The sad thing about that is that you just cannot sit down and allow the government to just cancel an election because they believe that they would not win the election. You just cannot sit down and allow a government to use a simple majority to breach any section of the Constitution where your democratic right has been infringed. You just cannot sit down and allow the government to dictate when they want to call an election, if they feel to call an election. But you see, again, when you allow a precedent to be set, this country have allowed Patrick Manning to put off local election for years. And when a precedent is set, the danger about that is the next government that comes into power would utilize the same precedent to manipulate and have their way politically and to call an election when they believe that it is in their favor, and would not call an election when they believe that there is a disadvantage that they would not win at the polls. That is the fact. And we have allowed so many breaches to occur in this country that if the UNC government choose to follow the precedents that have been set by the PNM, you know what will happen to this country? It is a God-given gift that we have a leader like Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who will hold fast to law and order. Outside of that, this country will be in serious trouble. Because when you allow a government to escape with these serious breaches, the next government that comes into office, you remember when Basdeo Pandey challenged the Constitution? When he had appointed losing candidates to become senators? You remember the uproar that it had from the PNM at that time? And when Pandey was successful, what happened? After that, the PNM started to do the same thing. You know why? Because a precedent was set where losing candidates were able to sit in the Senate. And because of that precedent, then the next government, they were able to do the same thing. And it continues up to today. That is the danger when you allow governments to breach the Constitution and the people of the country sit idly by and allow it to continue. Rowley has breached this Constitution in so many ways. They have procured without procurement. They have used their simple majority to pass bills that in the original form would have required 2/3 and 3/5. And when you allow that to happen, ladies and gentlemen, you are setting up the future of the country to be punished by any politician who will utilize the parliament for his own whim and fancy, who will utilize the parliament to shut up our opposition, who will utilize the parliament to enrich themselves by their simple majority. And the country have accepted that. We have accepted that. You have accepted that. And therefore, if you sit idly by and the country do not stand up against the same thing that we are being punished for, when you allow the government to break the law and not hold them accountable, you are contributing to fueling the dictatorship. And that is what you need to recognize, Trinidad and Tobago. You need to understand that there is a line that we cannot cross. When you cross that line, people, the society becomes lawless. What we are seeing on the streets today, it is a reflection of the government behavior. It is a mirror of the government behavior. The streets have now empowered themselves to behave as the government behaving. And what is sad about that is that you will call the behavior of the streets criminality, but you will not call the same thing that the government doing criminality. Because a man rob you with a gun, you call him a criminal. Because the law says so. But when the government rob you with a jacket and a tie, you call them a representatives. The same robbery, but just with more amount of money, because the government robs you more than the bandit rob you. Because when the bandit rob you 10,000, the government rob you 10 million. The bandit point a gun at you, the government pawn a tie and a jacket, which is more deadly than the gun. Because the robbery of the government affects generation. Let me tell you something. Venezuela was a democracy. Venezuela was a democracy. But the people of Venezuela fall asleep. They believe rum, woman, and songs were the order of the day. And when you believe rum, woman, and songs is the order of the day, the government will fuel that. The government will fuel that. And when the government fuel that, and you run behind rum, woman, and Spanish, well, woman, Spanish, same thing. When you run behind that, and you are blinded, you know what happened? The future of your children, that is being eroded by a group of people who have no mercy for this country. None of them who sit in the cabinet, none of them who sit in the government chair have any mercy for you. I tell you last week that their children will born into money. They will be filthy, filthy, filthy rich. Their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren will born into your taxpayer dollar, while your children and your grandchildren will born into poverty people. You will be born into poverty. Your young daughters will have to become prostitutes in this country because you have accepted the behavior of this criminal gang that we have sitting in the government chair. You may very well have some of your sons becoming male prostitutes because you have allowed the pedophile ring to exist in this government. This is the reality of this country. Your children will perish because you do nothing. This country will fall because you do nothing. The wealth of this country will disappear because you do nothing. I hear people telling me, Mr. Roberts, oh gosh, we can't wait for 2025. Are you crazy? Mr. Roberts, we can't wait for 2025 to get this government out. You're mad? People, you have a constitutional power. You have a constitutional right. Take your time and examine Section 4 of the Constitution. You could read A, B, C, D. Just read it. And you will understand that you have a dynamic right inside there to go out and express. That you have a right to go out there and to tell this government that you are not going to accept its behavior. You have a right to go out there and stand up and tell this government that they have outlived their usefulness and it's time for a fresh mandate in this country. You do not have to use the gun, the sword, or the knife to get that job done. What you have to use, the greatest weapon that God has provided you with in this world, is your feet, your hands, and your mouth. You have the power, Trinidad and Tobago. The power is enshrined within the Constitution. That is your constitutional right. And do not allow Keith Rowley, Fitzgerald Hines, and Jacob, or the TTPS to take away your constitutional right. That is your right. Let me tell you something here today. While there are some police officers who choose to benefit out of the PNM, there is genuine police officers who would stand up for law and order in this country. While there is prison officers who will side with the PNM for benefits, there are prison officers who would stand up for law and order in this country. While there is some soldiers who will side with Rowley for benefits, there are some soldiers who will stand up for law and order in our country. People, democracy comes with a price. Your ancestors died to establish this. Democracy is not a gift. Democracy is a present. And when you get a present, you must be able to cherish it. That present didn't come without blood, sweat, and people's life. But we are allowing a handful of people who just interested in the public purse to utilize, to contaminate the independent institution by way of promises, having them to side with the government and asking them to utilize brutality to suppress you, utilize brutality to keep you quiet, utilize brutality to keep you dormant, utilizing brutality to keep you quiet. I am saying today that you must not be quiet. I am saying today that you must stand up. I am saying today that we must come out in our numbers according to the Constitution and demonstrate and exercise our rights to speak out against this growing dictatorship. We have the right, and that is why I am calling on the citizens of this country to come out in your numbers, just as Heinz had called for 180,000 people. I don't know if Archie could find it at the tip of his fingers. Just how Heinz called for people to block every street. Just how Heinz called for the people to block Rice Road. I am calling 30,000 plus. I ain't even going like Heinz and calling for 180,000. I am calling for 30,000 people to follow Heinz instruction. If you never follow nothing where Heinz tell you yet, I asking you today to follow what Heinz say. And when Archie get it, you go play it. That is all I asking you to do. Do just what Heinz said while he was in opposition. I in opposition now, and I am asking you to obey Heinz on this occasion. Obey him on this occasion. I want you to listen what Heinz said. And when you listen to it, you will realize that the call he made was for 180,000 people to take to the streets, to block every road. Well, I waited for him to define that. I waited for him to define what he mean. But I think I understand what we have to do. I think I understand what we have to do. We have to come out on the streets of this country according to Heinz and stand our ground and ensure that our democracy in this country is adhered to by every independent institution and by every government official and by every cabinet minister. That is what we have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a very, very bad state in this country. We are at the point, while some people may take lightly that we might reach the highest murder toll, while some people will take that lightly, I am not taking that lightly. Because any one of us can be the next statistic in this affair. None of us are safe in this society. You cannot feel safe in a restaurant. You cannot feel safe at the movies. You cannot feel safe in the groceries. You cannot feel safe in the taxis. You cannot feel safe walking on the streets. You cannot feel safe in the shopping malls. And worst of all, ladies and gentlemen, you are not safe even in the privacy of your homes. The place where you should be comfortable and relaxed, and where you should be easing off that burden of stress. Whether you come from whatever job you're hustling, and you believe that here is the place that you can relax, you are not safe in your homes, ladies and gentlemen. Going forward, it will only get worse. It will not get better. It will only get worse. And when that get worse, when that situation worsens, ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you, the murder toll for this year will be a joke to next year. It will be a joke to next year. Because let me tell you something. Every year, thousands of children coming out from school, nowhere to go but on the streets. The streets always have room for your child. While the prison getting full, the streets have room. And very soon you will hear the government speaking about building another prison. And that another prison, ladies and gentlemen, is not because of the fault of the child, but it is because of the slackness of the parent. Your child will just pay the price for what you failed to do. Your child will pay the price for what you failed to do. Because when you fail to stand up as a human being for what is right in society, don't expect your children to do the right thing. When you encourage wrong, do not expect your children to do the right thing. When you allow a government to go down the path, I am saying here tonight, do not expect your children to do the right thing. You see, two wrong will never make a right. When you allow the government to do wrong, and you support the wrong that the government do, then prepare for what will become of your children, because they do learn by example. And when you stand up for nothing, you don't expect them to stand up for something. We are at a
Come out
very
is former
sad
PNM
place.
Senator Fitzgerald Hines. He says while the PNM has not made any public plea, he is still calling on people to come out and make a serious stand.
I give them my fullest support at a personal level. Entire passageway, when I say so, they should...
Well, just before the protest, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear Hines making a call for people. I played it last week for you, I played it last week. If actually you find it, you could go back on the live last week. And you will see where Hines was telling the people, come out and block Rice Road, 180,000, block every street. And he was disappointed. He said he was doing his part, but he was expecting to see more people. Let me tell you something. You want this country to change? Well, you have to now stand up for what is right. You want this country to move forward? You have to move the country forward by your action. Don't fool yourself and expect Keith Rowley to move the country for you. Don't fool yourself and expect Fitzgerald Hines to make you safe. Don't fool yourself and expect the cabinet to make any, bring any piece of legislation to make your life better. Don't fool yourself and expect Imbert going to re-subsidize, if you will, and to hold on the property tax. Don't fool yourself. You could fool yourself if you want. But let me tell you something. The little that you have would be taken away from you. Tonight we'll be ending at 8:30. I forget to mention that to you earlier because I have another engagement later. Do not expect this government to make anything easy for you. You as the people of the country, you have to make things easy for yourself. You see, let me explain this for you. You must first understand that the resources of this country, it is not the government owned. You must understand that the wealth of the country is not the government owned. What you people have been doing over the years is that you have appointed a group of people who should have been distributing the wealth of the country in an equitable manner. But you have fallen asleep by rum, soca, and woman. That the life for the like. That you men have lost your fortitude. So you no longer stand up for what is right in the country. You know who's standing up for what is right in the country? The women of this country. The women have grown fortitude. They stand up. They come into the forefront. They speaking out. While you men just happen to exist. Is that what you people want for your generation? For your sons just to be sluggers? For your sons just to exist? For women to go out there and provide for your daughters, to go and provide for those men? That is what you're expecting going forward? You expect your daughter to go out there and find a job and do what she had to do to bring food on the table to feed a man? That is what you expect? Because what would happen to your children is what they will mirror from you. What they see you do is what you're going to get. When the scripture tell you that every tree will bring forth fruits after its kind, you feel that was only talking about a fruit tree? You feel like it's only to say that an orange can be a mango and a pomsite can be a plum? You feel like that is all it was talking about? It was talking about the law of creation, where every fruit will bring, where every tree will bring a fruit of its kind. So you know what you will get? You will never see a man who slept with his wife and they will bring a dog. You will never see she make a dog. Now I know that there is some case that the genes interfere, because I have seen men who sleep with the wife and bring forth a donkey. And if you don't believe me, check who is the Prime Minister. I've seen that. But that is a rare case. A very rare case. But on the real note, every tree will bring forth a fruit of its kind. So you will not see by natural use a cow make a horse and a horse make a human being. It will be after its kind. So when your children, when you bring a child into this world, and you as the parent stand up for nothing, you know what's going to happen there? People going to say that family costs, boy. That is a generational curse. Everybody in that family lazy. Ever hear that talk? Everybody in that family don't want to work. Everybody in that family don't vote. You never hear that? People all better wake up in this country, and all better wake up quick. Wake up fast, because the time is at hand. Actually, I forgot to do something last night, boy. I was so busy, Archie, and I thought you would have picked up on that from me, Archie, but you didn't pick up on that. Archie, tonight, I want to acknowledge a man who I forget to acknowledge last night by that meeting. I want to acknowledge Kroko. I want to acknowledge Kroko. Oh, they know Kroko? I want to acknowledge Kroko, who stand up with the hat turned backward, who come by a UNC meeting last night. I just lapsed because by the time my source tell me, hey, look Kroko outside there, it was a little bit too late. So it seems as though everybody having a change of heart. That is the man that sing the most amount of rubbish in the history of Kaiso in this country. The most amount of rubbish, the most amount of dotishness.
This show is facts, not fiction, you know.
And that is why I gave them facts.
You sure Kroko was outside there?
That is why I gave them facts. That is why I gave them facts. I was shocked. Shocked when a man tell me, hey, come and go on the pavement, boy, look, Kroko stand up outside there. Just about when I was going up to speak. But I'm hoping to get a footage. I'm hoping to get a footage. Because there's some people with some camera close by. And a man promised that he will go back on the footage. Because you have a business place and one side of the camera face along the SS Erie Road. So I'm hoping to catch him when he was walking back to go to the vehicle. So stay tuned for that. I promise you. Once I get it, you're going to see it Tuesday, please God. So this is where I'm going to leave you tonight. I want you, the people of this country, to recognize that time is running out. Time is running out. And if you don't stand up, and if you don't get up, and if you don't recognize the power that Section 4 of the Constitution gives you as citizens in this country, then you might as well close your eye, go to the nearest cemetery, and lie down on a spot and ask the earth to sink in with you. Because what you would be doing in this country is not only destroying yourself, but destroying a whole generation to come. Stay tuned for Douglas Politics tomorrow, Archie.
As always, live.
7:30 p.m. Stay tuned for press conference Sunday at 10:30.
Correct.
And stay tuned for the Monday night forum.
And stay tuned to see, because I know the boss was saying she want to take that to the outside. She want to take it to the streets now. So I think we're in talks for that Monday show.
Beautiful. So stay blessed, stay safe. I have to finish at 8:30. I have another important engagement to go and deal with tonight. So you stay safe, stay blessed, and be prepared to come out and stand up in your numbers against the breaches of our democracy. God bless. Have a good night.